I think a semi got flipped. Are you okay? This is great. Hey, there's big rail cover. We gotta go, sir. Hang in the cut.
I hate Oklahoma.
Well, you might hate Oklahoma, but you're probably in better shape living right there right now than living in the Northeast. Hey, welcome to Twister Talk. I'm Gary. Thanks for joining me. Just giving you a quick update on what's been going on since Debbie now has moved out back over the Atlantic after going through the Canadian provinces. She has finally moved out of the U.S., although flooding risk and power outages remain as part of the problem. The sun came out this morning in parts of, the Northeast, of course, everywhere. But the power stayed off as more than 100,000 homes and businesses are still without power across 4 states as of this morning. Now, power should be restored, hopefully, they're saying, midweek for some of the hardest hit areas, but maybe in the next 24 to 36 hours, they should be able to get power back. Those skies have cleared. Flood warnings remain in effect until today. And even this evening, up to 7 inches of rain fell in New York. That's 7 inches in upper New York around the Finger Lakes region, and also about 6.5 inches in parts of Pennsylvania. Vermont also received, parts of Vermont also received 3 to 6 inches. Some flooding there, not as bad as what's going on in Pennsylvania and New York. And also, don't forget, there was severe weather in Ohio. That's right, in Ohio, Friday, that still has 170,000 customers are still without electricity in that area, including adjacent parts of Pennsylvania and upper New York. So that's what's going on. It's going to be a major issue getting all this taken care of. They are starting to do damage surveys today. They are checking everybody, see everybody is safe and been rescued. There have been about, believe it or not, go slow on this, about 350 water rescues is what I've been able to find out from the last count, checking news headlines and weather headlines. There may be more than that, but that's what I have. So that's since Debbie came ashore and meandered as it did along the southeast and zipped across the Northeast Friday and Saturday. So that's still a lot. Now, fortunately, so far, only 9 deaths have been attributed to Debbie. That's only 9. That's actually good. There may be more. You won't really know until you get more of the forecasting or get more of the surveys in and finding out what's going on. Now, many areas are still declared disaster areas. Parts of New York, Vermont, even Virginia, and parts of Pennsylvania have been declared disaster areas. They will receive federal funding, and that's a big deal. Getting federal funding will let them rebuild their homes and get things back in order. It still will take time, but remember, like we said, homes and memories can be rebuilt. Taking a look at some of the places that were hardest hit in Steuben County in New York, which borders Pennsylvania, evacuations were ordered for the towns of Jasper, Woodall, and parts of Addison. And people were trapped as floodwaters made multiple roads impassable. The recovery effort is still underway, even as we talk this afternoon, as emergency workers cleared debris and helped residents pump floodwater from their basements. Officials in Tioga County in north central Pennsylvania said a search and rescue operation was ongoing for one person unaccounted for in the Knoxville, Pennsylvania area after flooding that prompted dozens of rescues. Now that is where we are on it. No updated status on that right now either. There are people missing. They're saying right now it looks like in some areas throughout parts of New York and Pennsylvania about 35 to 40 people are unaccounted for. Again, that doesn't mean they've died or perished. They could just be somewhere else and haven't been able to get in contact with anybody. Hard to say. Officials say 100 people are still displaced. As of this morning, only 14 now remain in one shelter. So the shelters have been closed for the most part. And what's good about that is they've been able to go back to their homes, and we'll go from there. Also, an EF1 tornado touchdown in Pennsylvania's capital city on Friday. Forecast said the tornado, which had winds of 105 miles an hour, touched down after 4:30 a.m. in Harrisburg and traveled north for almost 3.5 miles, blowing off a set of overhead doors at a warehouse and causing roof damage to a church and roof and structural damage to several homes, as well uprooting dozens of trees. So Debbie now is gone. It's gone. It's bye-bye. It's out in the Atlantic. Governor Phil Scott of Vermont has said that there's still much damage to look through, and they're going to be a while checking everything else. As of sharing right now, 19,000 homes in Vermont are still without power, although they're expecting to have more of that restored today and into Monday and Tuesday. Now, Saturday, over 44,000 people were without power. That's a lot. So they whittled it down pretty good. I'm impressed with that. Widespread, extensive damage in many locations, said Mike Burke, Vice President of Operations at Green Mountain Power. The repeated storms we are experiencing in Vermont were not just heartbreaking, they're happening more and more frequently, and they're doing damage like this. It's been a busy couple of weeks out there with everything going on with the weather in regards to severe thunderstorms, flooding, and then you throw Debbie on top of it, like we've talked earlier. It's just like stirring the pot. Again, most places, Connecticut, New York State, Pennsylvania, parts of Vermont, rain totals in some places were 6 to 8 inches, a lot less in places of heavier population. So that's thankful, because it wasn't as bad, especially along that I-95 corridor. That could really have caused some major problems. But where the rains were heavy, they were pretty consistent with the 6 to 8 inch setup, and unfortunately, that's where we're at now. We have something else to be concerned about, too. I wanted to give you this update here. From the North Atlantic, the Caribbean Sea, and the Gulf of Mexico, near the Lesser and Greater Antilles, showers and thunderstorms continue to show some signs of organization in association with a broad area of low pressure located a little less than 1,000 miles east of the Lesser Antilles. Environmental conditions appear conducive for gradual development of the system, and a tropical depression is likely to form within the next day or two while the system approaches, then moves near or over the Leeward Islands. Interest in those islands should continue to monitor the progress of this system, and watches will be likely required for the portions of the area as soon as Sunday afternoon. The system could approach the Greater Antilles by middle of the week. Formation chances within the next, look at this, next 48 hours, 80%. Formation of becoming a tropical storm or even a hurricane in the next 7 days actually has gone up to about 90%. So it's not been named yet, but this is possibly could be the next tropical storm or hurricane in the Atlantic by the end of the week. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. But the latest 5 o'clock observations show that circulation is setting up. In other words, the storms are rotating around a center of circulation, and that is probably the beginning of a tropical depression. It may be one already, and then it will mature probably into a tropical storm, and it could hit hurricane strength by the end of the week. The course right now would take it, guess what, into the southern Atlantic, and guess what, over the same areas that have been hit possibly in the last couple of weeks. What they said, this is going to be a crazy season, and Colorado State University has been talking about that along with the National Hurricane Center, and how bad it's just been crazy. And we're talking about that whole thing about the dire situation that it's in, and dire, I guess, is a good word because they keep using it whenever they talk about it. And remember, if you get an opportunity after a hurricane or a tropical storm moves through an area, see what you can do to help. Many organizations need financial donations to help them go in and provide clothing, food, shelter, and everything for people whose lives have been upended by these hurricanes and tropical storms. So remember, to find a charity, and there are many great charities out there that, what do they do? Part of their mission is to go in and help people after these storms. So they could use your help. So find a way you can help that way. If you do have experience in helping people in these situations, volunteer. It's important that you do that. I really can't stress that enough. Make sure you give a gift. There are many good relief agencies out there. You can check your Better Business Bureau listings, and even local churches in areas are very good for outreach. In fact, many Christian groups are sometimes the first responders after, of course, the trained responders, rendering aid and everything. But many times they're the first ones in there with food and clothing and helping people find shelter and take care of themselves. So there are many, many opportunities to help, and after storms like this, they're going to need your help, because we get 3 or 4 more of these, and it won't take long before resources get really, really strained. So remember that, all right? Help where you can, and give of yourself on that. And again, listen to what's being told you, because it just keeps happening. So keep going on. We're going to have to be ready for that. So busy hurricane season, but I thought we'd give you a wrap and an update what's going on. And I think this week we may have some normal shows. I'll have to wait and see. or we'll keep an eye on what's going on in the Atlantic. For Twister Talk, I'm Gary. Have yourself a good one.